Joe Samaniego reporting from Portland International Raceway. Friday is in the books, and it was an exciting Friday, especially for Indy Lights. David Malukas scored the pole. His big rival in the championship, Kyle Kirkwood, 5th. Here's what both drivers had to say about qualifying and entering tomorrow's and Sunday's races. David, congratulations. You got the big check for taking the pole. Can you tell us, especially knowing Kyle's success here, how big is it to get the pole?
It means a lot. Especially after this long day with all this testing, it feels good that it all kind of worked out for us to get this podium. I mean, not just that, but second, third, and fourth, all HMD Motorsports, which, I mean, it's unbelievable. It shows you the teamwork that we had and us using different setups and all coming back to one, and all of us going out and using the best setup. I mean, it feels good.
Now, coming into the weekend, 3 points ahead of Kyle. Of course, there's a lot on the line, including that scholarship for Indy. Now that you got the pole, does that essentially give you a big advantage entering that first corner, or are you still going to be taking that corner, just being aware, especially we see quite often a lot of trouble in the festival corners?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels better being in first, but I know Kyle, he's in the races, he's always makes positions at the start. He seems to kind of come in before everybody else does. So I think it's still going to be all heads and ears up and paying attention going through turn one and, I mean, the rest couple of laps. But, yeah, I mean, great start to the weekend for sure.
And, of course, we're getting closer and closer to the end of the season overall. I know if you were to end on top or second, how would you rate your season this year?
10 out of 10. The competition with me and Kyle is definitely one for the making for me. I've loved it. I mean, St. Louis, we had a really good battle, and it's been very tight all season. So it's going to come down to the end. I still believe in that. So, yeah, 10 out of 10.
Well, David, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck. Standing here with Kyle Kirkwood. Kyle, qualifying, I know you didn't get the pole, but you've had a lot of success here in Portland International Raceway. What is your approach to entering, especially the first few corners, the festival corners?
We're starting P5, so there's not a whole lot you can do from that position, to be honest. But with that being said, I guess in the past, a lot of people have gone 4, 5, 6 wide here. So we'll see what happens. It's all going to play out a bit strange. You can never really plan this place, I think. But now today, I think we missed it a little bit in qualifying. We were quick throughout the beginning and threw some changes at it, and for some reason we just missed it there. I'm not sure why. We just got to go back and look at it, but we just finished up now, so no answers for you yet.
Now, tomorrow we're looking at about 77 degrees. Today was about 68, 69. With that kind of a temperature change, does that change the track a lot? Are we going to see a lot less grip out there, or is it not a whole lot considering we're talking about 12 to maybe 13 degrees?
Well, I think it's always changing here. A lot of it's due to we've got other cars that are running out here. We had ARCA that was just between our two sessions. They tend to use a lot more track than us, which requires using dirt sometimes, and our cars don't really like that so much. So I think after we run with IndyCar, a lot of things are going to change. But yeah, it's tough to say right now exactly what the track's going to do. But yeah, like you said, if it's going to be a little bit warmer, we expect it to be a little bit greasier, maybe a little bit less downforce.
And of course, you enter second in the points, 3 points behind, especially with this race right here at Portland International, where you have a good amount of success. Do you feel pretty confident that this gives you an upper hand compared to everybody else?
Right now, no. To be honest, with our qualifying position and just what our pace has been, it's 4 HMD cars in front of the Andretti cars, unfortunately. So that definitely is going to make it harder for us. But no, we'll see what happens. You never know what can happen to this place. Like I said, there's been some crazy starts here, so hopefully that plays in our favor.
Well, Kyle, best of luck to you tomorrow, and of course Sunday as well, and thank you for your time.
No worries, thank you.
Now, David and Kyle, they are competing for that $1 million scholarship to be in IndyCar. Today, the IndyCar teams, no on-track action. The big thing was going through tech, making sure your vehicle checked out. Tomorrow is when they hit the track with one practice session, then qualifying for Sunday's race. So a short weekend. We talked to several drivers about the upcoming weekend right here at Portland. Scott McLaughlin, tell us, rookie season, how's it going so far, and how excited are you for Portland International Raceway?
Look, excited. I'm excited to be on the West Coast. I haven't been here too much, so yeah, here in Portland, first time at the track. It's exciting, it's every place has been new for me, which has been difficult, but at the same time, it has been for a few others. So just a matter of just putting myself in the right headspace, getting in the right frame of mind for qualifying, and hopefully we can qualify up a little bit further than we have, and we'll have better results.
Now, it's that first festival corner. We've seen trouble there year in, year out. Is that a big concern, being a rookie, especially with qualifying, or is there any other big issues that you're looking at?
No, I think qualifying-wise, it's definitely a technical area, but certainly in the race, that's where the action happens. So from what I've seen on the replays and what I watched back at home in Australia, it was always pretty, like you said, problematic. So we'll try and, like I said, qualify at the front, and then we won't have to worry about it too much.
And final question, I know Supercars, big news about Jamie Whincup and then his replacement. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, look, I think Brock's a really fast racer and probably the best out of all the young guys that are there right now, and certainly putting in the good hard yards with the team. So he'll be a great replacement for Jamie. And Jamie and Roland don't make any decisions, without a heart and without a need or a want to do something further on. So I think it's an important signing and something they can really build on with in the future. So I wish them all the best.
Scott McLaughlin, thank you so much for your time and best of luck this weekend.
Yeah, thank you. Cheers.
Enjoying everything in Portland so far?
Good, man. I enjoy coming here. Last time I was here was in 2018. I have wonderful memories from my Indy Lights Championship here. And looking forward to the IndyCar weekend here. It's my first time racing an IndyCar around this place, but I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun.
And it's also the first time for Alex Palou, your main championship rival. Considering how much success you had here in Indy Lights and experience, do you feel that gives you an upper hand compared to Alex Palou?
No, I mean, it's very different. IndyCar races are a lot longer. They have pit stops. The car will come into play, and I think whoever rolls off of the truck the strongest is going to be in better shape going into qualifying and then going into the race.
And then with the weather here, we're looking at 70 degrees. Is this just something where in the car is going to be something more ideal for drivers compared to like Detroit?
Yeah, I think it's going to be beautiful. We tested here actually like a month ago, and it was very hot. But it looks like it's going to be a lot better temp-wise, a lot cooler temp-wise this weekend. So it'll be better for us inside of the car, and it'll probably be a little tweaks that we'll have to do to the setup to really get it into the window.
And final question, I know Adrian Fernandez, he has won here before. Other Mexican drivers, Mario Domingos, they've all had success in Indy cars. Have you been in touch with them, especially as you're going through this championship season?
I've had a few exchanged messages with Adrian. He stays up to date quite a bit with how things are going, and it'd be awesome to get one here. That'd be fantastic.
Pato, thank you so much for your time and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Portland, how's everything going so far this weekend?
Good. It's really nice to be out here. I think it's a lovely track, lovely place to be. We tested here a couple of weeks ago, so I feel like we have a slight advantage to some of the other teams coming in here. So yeah, good feeling.
Now this year, of course, your teammate contending for a championship this year hasn't exactly been ideal. With 3 races to go, what are your big goals? Is it just to start putting together top 10 podiums, or where do you go from here?
I mean, I think we just have to, it's kind of gone to that point where you just want to, kind of forget what's happened and just regroup a little bit. And, the last part of the season has definitely been trending the right direction. We had some way better speed on the road courses, and you just need some good results, to be honest. Like a podium definitely wouldn't hurt, and just good finishes for the rest of the season. I think that would be really good for the whole team. Even having Pato fighting for the lead for the win of the championship, you want to take points away from the others as well. So hopefully we can just sort of turn everything around a little bit here and have a good ending.
And then the final question, I know when it comes to Portland International Raceway, a little bit cooler temperature, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. But does it make the vehicle a little bit more grippier or slide a little bit? How does the colder weather affect compared to like Detroit or Texas?
Normally the colder weather, it just makes the car, I'd say, a bit easier to drive. Like you get more downforce, the tires don't overheat as easily, you just gain more grip. So I'd say it's normally a bit more fun to drive when it's colder because it feels like you can attack more. Also, for us drivers, it's way better. The temperature in the cockpit is just a bit more manageable. So we're always happy with that. It's nice to have a change. It's been a few really hot rounds lately, so I think we're all pretty happy with this weather.
And one quick follow-up with that, with the cooler weather, does that lessen the difference between the hard tires, soft tires, especially on a longer run?
I think actually the Firestone tires are really good when it's hot. Like actually sometimes they degrade more when it's cold, which is kind of weird. But yeah, you never know. Honestly, you never really know. We always try to predict these kind of things. I say on a qualifying lap, the difference might be bigger when the cold temperature on the lap time, but on a stint, man, I don't know. I would lie if I told you what it's going to do on Sunday.
Felix, thank you so much for your time and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
I know you get a chance to race here at Portland for the Grand Prix of Portland. How excited are you to race here?
Extremely excited. First of all, to be here with the number 45 Hy-Vee car with Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. It's my first time racing with this team, and very, very happy to be here.
Now, when it comes to setup, especially first time racing, how difficult is it to try to communicate with the engineers, getting that chemistry going for especially this race, where a lot of times we see mistakes on pit roads could really cost a lot since it's such a short track compared to like Road America?
Yeah, luckily I've actually worked with this engineer before, Brandon Fry. I've known him for a long time. Since 2014 we worked together in karting. So this isn't the first time we worked together, which is nice. And I've also tested for the team one day at Barber, so I already know all the personnel and everyone, so it's not bad.
So IndyCar kart, they've been coming here a long time. Is one of the few races for any motorsports in the Pacific Northwest. How significant is it, especially this market where really IndyCar is the only motorsport major league here?
Yeah, it's very significant. Obviously, we don't come to any other race in the Pacific Northwest, right? So most of our races are in the Northeast. So yeah, to hit this market, I think is very important for the series and for the sponsors, for us drivers as well. It's I honestly love coming here. I'm a big fan of the West Coast, and the scenery is very nice here. So,
Oliver, thank you so much for your time and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Portland, how excited are you about this race?
Really excited. I mean, it kind of feels like it's the start of the season coming to a close, obviously with all these races being on the West Coast, and Portland's a place where we've traditionally had good speed at, and I like the atmosphere here. I just always have enjoyed it from the first time I came, and I feel like we've had a lot of unfinished business here. We just want to come out this weekend and get as good a result as possible.
I mentioned unfinished business last time out here, the festival corners. Ryan Hunter-Reay, two you made contact into above your guys' days essentially for the win. This year, when it comes to the festival corners, especially since we have 3 races remaining, do you feel like entering that corner is going to be even more or just as intense as like the last couple of years?
I feel like it's going to be just as intense. I mean, if anything, I think the driving this year has been maybe even a little bit more feisty. So yeah, I mean, certainly don't expect to see that with any caution on anyone's part. But ultimately, everyone's got to try and finish the race, and that's everyone's want and desire. So I think as long as the drivers give each other, the appropriate amount of respect, obviously to the point of still racing hard and racing fair, but getting through the corner obviously is priority number one. So yeah, I mean, that was a really unfortunate thing that happened with Ryan, and he came straight after the race and apologised for all that, and it's very much just water under the bridge. But I think that's why we do believe we've got unfinished business here. So honestly, just excited to come and try and put the 60 on Nation Series XM Honda at the front.
And when it comes to the front, of course, qualifying, that's the big thing tomorrow. Everyone wants to go for a pole. Is Portland a track where starting position is very critical, or since it is 200 miles essentially, quick track, could almost any position really have a good shot at a fair finish?
I guess it depends where you qualify. You kind of psych yourself into either one of them. I would say Portland typically has been a track that you want to qualify at the front in. Obviously the first couple of corners here are notorious is maybe a strong word, but there's a lot of yellows at starts and things like that. So honestly, wherever we start, we want to get through the first few laps without any issues or anything like that. But I feel like we're in a great position this weekend to go and try and fight for pole and fight for the win.
Jack, Harvey, thank you so much for your time and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
How are you enjoying so much, especially your first few laps when you tested IndyCar at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
It was an amazing experience. It's a very, very fast car, so I always enjoy going out in them. And yeah, we had a few little issues through the day, but obviously, you know, our first test, I expect this sort of stuff. But we got it all ironed out at the end. Very, very good car, very well balanced. And I think, you know, going into this weekend, it was crucial to get that experience. And I think we should have a good weekend.
Now, when it comes to racing across Europe, now you're here in the United States and it's Portland International Raceway. Is there any tracks that this sort of reminds you of, especially the flat nature and sort of the short distance at 1.9 miles?
Look, the Speedway's road course was very similar to what I'm used to in Europe, so it was quite familiar and easy to get up to speed. Here is quite old school, I think. Very fast, high speed, not much room for error. So I'm going to look forward to that. I would say it's quite similar to some of the tracks in the UK, but I haven't done actually much racing in the UK. I've always been Europe side, and yeah. So it'll be a bit of a challenge for me. I don't think it's too difficult a track considering the length is quite small, so we'll get quite a few laps in practice. But obviously doing one practice straight into quali is never easy.
Now, when it comes to drivers from Europe, especially Formula 1, Formula 2, they talk about how the cars are really set up, where here, I know Roman Grosjean, Martin Ericsson, I say how you really have to work the car around. It's really something else to drive in. How have you enjoyed that experience so far, especially first time at Indianapolis?
It's a tough car. Physically, it's not easy. The F2 was quite similar, but the race is longer here. The tyres you can push more on, so I think it will be a tough race physically. Obviously the others have said that as well, so I wouldn't be surprised on that side. On the racing side, it's intense. It's good racing. I love watching the racing. When I was in Le Mans in between the stints, I was having it on, watching. I think maybe it was Gateway or Nashville, one of the two. And yeah, I mean it's super enjoyable. You know, you've got a lot of good guys here, a lot of competition, good teams, and yeah, it's close racing.
And with the news, you're going to be competing in more IndyCar races, including Long Beach Grand Prix, a street course. When it comes to the street course racing, how much experience do you have in racing street courses?
I've had a few. I've done Monaco. I've done the Macau Grand Prix 5 times in a row. Po Grand Prix. So there's a few. I need to have a look at Long Beach actually, because I haven't seen an onboard yet. But Monaco's tough. Macau's even tougher. But these are big, heavy cars, and yeah, it will be an experience for sure. So I don't know exactly what to expect, especially tomorrow. I will see for the first time really on a competition level where we're at. But, you know, I'm expecting some tough, close to the wall action, you know.
Well, Callum, we're so excited to have you here. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much. It'll be good.
Welcome back to Portland. I know you raced here in kart. How excited are you to be here at Portland International Raceway?
Yeah, it's great. Obviously, you know, it's a shame that we couldn't come last year, and you know, hopefully, we're starting to see more and more of normal, good old habits coming back. And yeah, it's always great to come out west and you know, just enjoy the area and the racetrack and the fans.
Now, of course, this year you're with AJ Floyd Racing. AJ Floyd Racing, a lot of folks compare it to like Penske, Target, sort of one of the smaller teams. Do you feel, especially your experience here at Portland International Raceway, has it where you might have a leg up on more of the drivers today?
I don't think so. I think it's a pretty straightforward, tiny racetrack. You know, they own so many corners, so yeah, there's not too many intricacies. There's just a lot of emphasis on setups. You just got to get the car right in the zone, and you know, it's a short weekend too. It's a 2-day show with one practice and then straight into qualifying. So you got to unload fast. The team's done a good job trying to, you know, prepare as well as we could. We've definitely spent quite a bit of time on this one, and we didn't come testing because we elected to go and test the Gateway. Thankfully, we got a top 5 out of it. So you know, still feeling pretty decent about it. We've had some good road course experiences, and then also spent a very good session at the simulator with Chevrolet. So you know, hopefully it all correlates and we can find something good.
And final question, I know Portland, then we go to Laguna Seca, Long Beach, of course, those are our staples of the sport for such a long time. How excited are you about all those 3 tracks, especially 3 consecutive weekends of racing?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tracks where I've had, you know, a fair amount of success. So hopefully history repeats itself. But you know, there's 27 other guys that think different. So we'll see. We'll just do the best we can and try and get that Rocket Chevrolet number 14 towards the front.
Sebastien Bourdais, best of luck this weekend here at the Portland International Raceway.
Thank you.
It's Newgarden. Welcome to Portland International Raceway. How excited are you for this weekend?
Super excited to be here. Love this track. Love the weather. Got a great fan base up here. definitely an IndyCar crowd, which is always fun. And yeah, I feel good. I think we've got good cars around this place. Team Penske should be ready to rock. We'll see what we got.
Now, after the Gateway win, a lot of folks are still talking about you as a championship threat for especially the top two, which has a lot less experience compared to you with winning championships, running against Scott Dixon and everyone. Does that change your approach, especially since we have a 3-race West Coast swing?
I think for us, we got to do the same thing. We have to be fast. You have to be able to win races to win championships, and that's going to be no different with 3 rounds to go. Certainly we can't afford to have any negative moments just because of where we are points-wise, but I feel confident we have what it takes to win races, and that's the most important thing at the end of this year is being able to execute wins and staying out of trouble.
And when it comes to Portland International Raceway, the festival corners, a lot of action we've seen there, especially the first lap, first corner. When it comes to qualifying, is there an advantage of being way up front to try to avoid a miss, or even just if you're in midfield, does that change your approach, or is it just always the same approach no matter what?
Yeah, I think qualifying does make a difference. If you're up front, then you can potentially stay out of the mess a lot easier into turn 1. If you're in the midfield, you got to be a little bit more heads up. Maybe you're going to take the escape road. So qualifying matters. It's not the end-all be-all, but I think if you had your choice, you'd want to be up front here.
Josef Newgarden, best of luck this weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks. How are you about the Grand Prix of Portland?
Really exciting. This is a cool track. It's definitely a classic track on the IndyCar schedule. A lot of history here. It's going to be a fun weekend. It's short, intense place. And it's a fun city as well. So happy to be here.
Now, of course, you mentioned a lot of history here, and one of the big things, of course, we know the festival corners, a lot of times drivers get in trouble. When it comes to entering the festival corner, especially that first lap, what's sort of the mindset for drivers? Is it just trying to gain as much position, or just more try to avoid the trouble?
Well, I've definitely been caught out by those festival curves. I had a memorable incident there in Lights where I hit a sign and went flying in the air. So you definitely have to be heads up through there. As far as your aggression and all that off the start, it kind of depends on where you qualify. And then how the start goes. If you're in the back and it's kind of strung out, you might not even have the opportunity to make a kind of a lunge sort of move. But if you're in the mix, because it's such a long race and tire degradation is going to be a big factor. For me personally, I think it's more about just getting through there clean and then focusing on the strategy for the whole race. Because it's a tough track to pass, so you want to make sure you're not losing spots, but then really just being in a good position to have a good race.
And it is a long race, but it is one of the things, a pretty short track compared to like Road America and others. Is this something where you feel like, especially if we have full course yellows, that's changed the dynamics of the race drastically? Or is it something where it's like, okay, we still have a similar strategy, just 1 or 2 cautions doesn't do too much to change the game?
It depends. If it's just a short yellow off the start, I don't think it changes very much. But if it's, if you start getting into like a long, 10 laps, 15 laps of yellow, if you get to those kind of numbers, then you're going to start to see a bigger window open up for 2 versus 3 stop, or of green laps remaining. There'll be different strategies then. So I think it kind of depends on how long the yellows are.
Dalton, Kellett, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck this weekend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Colton, Herta, welcome back to Portland. I know last time you were here, front row was leading, strategy didn't work out. How excited are you to be back?
Yeah, it's great to be back in the Northwest. It's one of those places with being from California. It's not a long travel day, whereas most of the races are on the East Coast, and so it's great. Portland's a great facility, great racetrack, and it always puts on a great race, and it's a lot of fun to drive these Indy cars around here. It's got a great combination of slow speed, high speed, medium speed corners. And it's pretty crazy that they have all that for such a short layout. But great track.
And then of course after here we got Laguna Seca and then Long Beach. Being from the West Coast, do you feel that gives you an upper hand with the rest of the competition?
Maybe a little bit of a home crowd favorite. Obviously Laguna Seca had a little bit of success there with IndyCar, and Long Beach is always, one of the biggest races for me, growing up, 30 minutes away from there. So it's going to be a really fun time for these last 3 race weekends, and hopefully we can kind of put some pieces together and get a few race wins.
And of course, entering next season, you'll be back into 26, back in Radio Autosport. How exciting is it to just know that, okay, we'll finish out the season, and then bigger picture, we got another season where the same chemistry, same group, it's all added again?
Yeah, no, that is nice. That you're kind of locked in for the next year. A lot less pressure for me to try to make something up in these last 3 races to get a ride. So for me, it's a lot of security, and that gives me a lot of confidence.
Colton, Herta, thank you so much for the time, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Overall, an exciting day here at Portland International Raceway. Tomorrow is going to be even more exciting. Of course, we're going to have the first couple Indy Lights races. The ARCA Menards West, they'll be running their race. IndyCar, their first practice and qualifying. And don't forget to be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network. We have Grid Live pre-race 12:30 Eastern with a brief update from me in regards to the IndyCar practice. And then, of course, Sunday, we have a special Grid Live pre-race, the Portland Grand Prix. Highly encourage you to check it out. Of course, Joshua Birch, he's going to be having his watch-along on his channel. Link in the video description. And then Grid Live wrap-up to wrap up the entire weekend, Sunday evening, approximately 90 minutes following the conclusion of the Grand Prix of Portland. Joe Samaniego from the Grid Network, signing off. Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GridNet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.